If you find your washer is making some unusual noises, maybe like a clattering sound, or perhaps it sounds perfectly normal except all it's doing is pumping the water out and it won't agitate or spin, it's a very good chance it may be your motor coupler. So changing your motor coupler is a fairly easy process, so let's fix it. Changing your motor coupler is a very easy repair. It should take us less than 30 minutes. You'll find it very easy to do, and you'll be very pleased to see the cost savings at the end. So now that we're ready to start the repair, we just need a few basic tools. We're going to need a hammer, a flat blade screwdriver, nut driver, 5/16 and a quarter, a putty knife, 1/2-inch socket with ratchet and extension. And as well, we have our coupler that we're going to be changing today. First couple of tools we're going to need is a putty knife and a flat blade screwdriver. So grab your putty knife and just go to insert it between the console and the top. We're just going to slide it right in, apply a little pressure, and just tip the console back and you'll feel it pop out of place. And we just need to do that on the other side. Now with the console free, we're just going to flip it up, let it hang on its hinges. So our next step is going to be to unhook the wiring harness from the lid switch. Release the harness from the lid switch. We just pull the tab back and wiggle the harness off. And we're just going to tuck that out of the way. With the harness out of the way, we're just going to take our flat blade screwdriver, insert it into the clip, apply a little pressure towards the back, and the clip will pop open. It's just that easy. And we'll just do the same thing to the other side. I am going to hang on to the back of the console just because it's going to be loose and I don't want it to fall. And there we go. So now we're just going to take the cabinet off, lean it forward, and swing it out of the way. So now that the cabinet's out of the way, you can see all the insides of your washer, and you can see just how easy this is going to be to service. So the next step we have to do is disengage this wiring harness from the motor. So we're just going to pull that tab with our finger and wiggle the harness right off the motor. And now we're just going to take these two clamps off the pump. Just take our blade screwdriver, pop the lower one down, and do the same thing and release the upper one. You can actually set them to one side. And with the clips removed, now it's just a matter of taking hold of your pump and pulling it off your motor shaft. And our next step will be to remove these motor brackets that are locking into place, and they're held solid with these screws. We just need to remove them. So with our 1/4-inch nut driver, you want to just set that screw somewhere safe because you will need it to put it back in place. Just the same process, take our nut driver and remove the screw. So now we're going to remove our clamps. We want to take the top one off first. We'll just insert a blade screwdriver, give it a little twist, and at the same time I'm going to support the motor because when I release this, the weight of the motor is going to make it want to drop. And that way, by taking the top one first, when you lower your motor, the bottom one drops off. And just saves you a whole lot of work to do it that way. We're now just going to take hold of the motor. I'll just pull straight forward, take the motor out, and we can set it on the ground. So now that we have the motor out, we can see that there's 4 rubber insulators on these motors, and they just pull right off. Sometimes when you take the motor off, those will fall off. Just keep an eye for them. There are 4, and there needs to be all 4 when you go to put it back together. So we're going to be changing the coupler, which is made out of 3 pieces. This is one side. Inside here, there's an identical one. So as you can see, the middle part of the coupler is actually tore apart on this one, and that's probably what's been generating the noise. So we're just going to pull that off and get it out of there. Okay, so the next step we want to do is remove this motor mounting plate. So we're just going to take our 1/2-inch socket and ratchet and remove these 2 bolts. Keep the bolts handy because we're going to be putting them right back in shortly. Now we're ready to remove the coupler. To do so, all we need is our blade screwdriver. We're just going to put it in behind the coupler and apply a little bit of outward pressure. And there we go. So we're just going to put that in place. We're going to take our same 1/2-inch socket, and just tap it with our hammer. And there, so we have it on and we have it flush. So now we can continue with this, installing the second piece of the coupler. And now we can put that motor bracket back on. And just take them down, good and tight. So before we install the motor, we're just going to remove that old coupler. And there, your coupler is released. We just tap our new one on. And there we go. We're ready to install the motor. And the trick to installing the motor on these is to make sure you have your coupler with one of the legs straight up. And on the piece inside your washer on the transmission, make sure that you have one of its tabs straight up. That way it'll line up perfectly when you go to marry the two of them together. And because we lined everything up, it just moved right into place. I'm going to pick up that bottom clamp. I'm going to lower my motor down just a little bit. Snap it into place. Raise my motor up. Now I'll take my top clamp and I'll put it into the bracket, same as we did with the lower one. Rotate it. Now I'm just going to lift the motor. At the same time, I'm going to press down with the clamp, and it's secure. Now we just need to put the two screws back in. So now we're just going to reconnect the electrical harness to our motor just by sliding it into place. So now that your motor coupler is installed, the wiring harness to your motor is connected. It's just a matter of putting the pieces back together in the reverse order that we took them apart, and you'll be ready to go. Thanks for watching. I hope we've been able to show you how easy it is to change the coupler, giving you the confidence to do so. And hey, don't forget to subscribe.